friends in the Dhamma. What should a Buddhist do in the event of a life crisis? And this is what we are going to discuss here today, this morning. So I guess all of you came here today to have some understanding about Buddhist way of reacting in the event of a life crisis. So let's try to spend this time in a very meaningful way to understand our way of perspective in our life, how we should react when we face the problems in our day-to-day life. Well, this topic needs some clarification, some definition for the word Buddhist. Because this topic says, how should a Buddhist react? So who is the Buddhist? Are you all Buddhists? Are you born to be a Buddhist? Does someone become a Buddhist by birth? Just because you are born to a Buddhist family? Friends, no one become a Buddhist by birth, but someone become a Buddhist by practice. Well, what is the definition for the Buddhist? Someone who takes three refuges, Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, can be known as a Buddhist. So who is the Buddha? Every day you recite, Buddhaṃ Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi. I go to the Buddha for my refuge. And today also you recited it. Am I right? What does it mean? You are going to be like the Buddha. Buddha is a perfectly enlightened human being, a human teacher. He never claimed to be a god or a messenger of a god, or he never claimed any divinity. He claimed to be a human being, but not an ordinary human being, but extraordinary human being, a noble human being. He became noble, he became extraordinary or superhuman being by cultivating himself. He was born among the human beings like you and me. Those who are defiled with greed, hatred and delusion. He was born among them. By cultivating, working diligently, he eradicated all these defilements and achieved perfect enlightenment. Just like a lotus flower which blooms in the mud, which arises in the mud, comes out from the mud, and blooms into a beautiful, fragrant lotus flower, and it stays there, remains there, without touching the muddy water. He was born among the human beings who are defiled, but achieve perfect purity. And he pointed out, not only I, you too can do this. Follow this path. This is the way how to do that. And when you say Buddhaṃ Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi, you are going to be like him. You are going to imitate the Buddha, on the other hand. You are going to cultivate all the virtuous good qualities to become like the Buddha, like a pure lotus flower. When you come across problems, calamities, miseries, crises in your life, you are going to take the life of the Buddha for your inspirations. You take the inspirations from the Buddha's life. He is our perfectly enlightened teacher. So you have to know his life, how he dealt with the problems. He was humiliated, insulted, and some people even tried to kill him. He fell sick. He became old. Finally, he passed away. Throughout the 45 years, he came across a lot of problems, and it is good to know how he deal with all these calamities in his life. And as a Buddhist, when you come across the crisis in your life, and you should remember him, should take the inspirations from his life. And this is what we mean when we say Buddhaṃ Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi. When he was lying down on a bed in the royal park of Mallava kings, more than 2,500 years ago, on a Vesak full moon day, he was nearly to pass away, and the monks, those who are ordinary, they were so worried, so sad, and they started to cry. Venerable Sir, when you are dead and gone, to whom should we turn and ask the advice? We are left alone without a teacher. Then Buddha says, Yovo dhammocha vinayocha desito panyatto sovo mamachena satta. I have taught you the Dhamma. I have taught you the discipline. Once I am dead and gone, these teachings, the Dhamma and the discipline will be your teacher. Follow the Dhamma, practice the Dhamma, that will be your teacher. So when you say Dhammaṃ Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi, you uphold the righteous principles in life. Buddhism is a way of life. Buddhism is there for you to practice. Buddha's teachings transform your life, change your life. And that's a gradual teaching which leads the gradual development of your life. And when you practice this Dhamma which Buddha teach, you transform to become a noble human being. When wicked people, cruel people, when they practice this Dhamma, they become compassionate people. Ignorant people become enlightened people. This path leads from miseries to happiness. This path leads from attachment to detachment. This path leads to perfect peace, harmony, understanding, and realization. This Dhamma Buddha teach leads from dark to light. So when you say Dhammaṃ Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi, you uphold the Dhamma, the dharmic principles, righteous principles in your life. And you look at the life crisis from Dhamma point of view. And you are not dealing with the problems in your life in a very ordinary way, but someone who has got understanding. So when you have Dhamma understanding and you analyze the problems from Dhamma point of view, you react from Dhamma way. And whatever the life crisis arises in a life, we have the right understanding. You know the techniques to deal with them. So when you say Dhammaṃ Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi, you become someone, you volunteer yourself to follow this righteous path for your own happiness, for the well-being and happiness of yourself, as well as for the well-being and happiness of the others. Then again, Buddhists, they recite Sanghaṃ Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi. I go to the Sangha, noble community of monks and nuns, for my refuge. And who are these noble community of monks? They are the ones who entered Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho. They have entered the good path, which is good in the beginning, which is good in the middle, which is good in the end. Noble eightfold path they are practicing. Ujjupatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho. The noble community of monks and nuns have entered the straight path, which leads to realization, to nibbana, to enlightenment, direct path. Nyāyapatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho. This noble community of monks and nuns, they have entered to the wise path which leads to wisdom, which leads to perfect understanding and realization. Samichi Patipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho. This noble community of monks and nuns, they have entered to the path which leads the cessation of suffering, which leads perfect peace and harmony. So when you say Sanghang Saranang Gacchami, you volunteer yourself to follow their footprint, follow this path which leads to perfect understanding, perfect peace and realization, which is enlightenment. So Sangha, the community of monks and nuns, they are the noble friends in your life. You can turn and ask their guidance, help, when you are in danger, when you need their help, when you face the problems in your life. So friends, Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, these noble triple gems, are the refuge in a life of a Buddhist. So we call someone a Buddhist whoever follows these noble triple gems, whoever accepts the Buddha as a teacher, whoever accepts this way of life and practice, and accept the noble community of monks. So with this stand, we react to our problems in life. So this is the person who is going to react in a Buddhist way to deal with the problems in life. How should a Buddhist react when he faces the problems, crisis in his life? When someone is established in this way, that person has unwavering confidence, faith on Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, and this person bravely, boldly can claim, Natti me saranang anyang, Buddho me saranang warang. I do not have any other refuge other than the Buddha, other than the Dhamma and Sangha. Etena satcha vajjena hotu me jaya mangalang. With the power of this truth, may there be happiness, may I be well, be happy. So, a person who follows these noble triple gems have got unwavering confidence to proclaim, to claim that he is a Buddhist, and he is the one who is going to react in a Buddhist way. But friends, when we see many religions in the world, you can see many religions, they have got gods. So when their followers face problems, calamities, miseries, they go to their gods and pray to the god, asking the help. But Buddhists, we do not pray to the Buddha. So this kind of occasions, when you face a lot of calamities, a lot of problems, how are you going to get the help from the Buddha? And sometimes when the Buddhists are facing the life crisis because of your own merits, sometimes angels may appear in your life and they may come and tell you the secret. Buddha is dead and gone. He cannot do anything for you. Our God is very powerful and He is very almighty. Come to our God. Believe our God. He will help you. So there may appear some angels in your life when you face the problems. But is it true that Buddha is dead and gone and he cannot help you? Well, friends, Buddha is dead and gone. That's a fact, true. But does not mean that you are left alone. We have got a lot of bodhisattvas who are very powerful, very compassionate. Though Buddha is dead and gone, there are many bodhisattvas who are waiting to help you in many ways. Bodhisattvas are in human realm, as human beings. They are cultivating to become perfectly enlightened. Bodhisattvas are in divine realm, as divine beings, as gods. They are cultivating to be perfectly enlightened. They are perfectly compassionate. And they help you. And when you need the help, when you uphold the righteous principles in your life, when you follow this path, and you can get the great blessings from them, and they will appear and they will help you when you need their help. So you are not left alone, friends. Again, what about the devas? Buddhists also, whenever they do meritorious deeds, we share the merits with the devas. Don't you do that here? You do it here also. So what is the point of sharing the merits if the devas cannot help you when you need the help? So friends, you are not left alone. You can ask the help from bodhisattvas, you can ask the help from devas when you are facing the problems. So ever and ever think that you are left alone. You are not left alone. When you face the problems, life crisis, you can go to a temple, you can do a simple chanting or meditation or purify your mind based on the positive thoughts first. Have a lot of good thoughts. Having done something good, then you should ask the help from the bodhisattvas, from the devas, and they will help you. You can get the guidance from them. Again, friends, even though Buddha is dead and gone, Buddhahood is there forever. A father may die, but fatherhood is there. A mother may die, but motherhood is there. Buddha passed away, but Buddhahood is there. So there may arise a lot of Buddhas in the future. And again, Buddha says very clearly, so dhammang passati, so mang passati. Whoever sees the Dhamma, and that person will see me. So you can see the Buddha through the Dhamma. So when you have dharmic understanding of these teachings, you can penetrate the Buddha in your own mind. And that will be a tremendous power in your life, which gives you a lot of power, spiritual power, to deal with any kind of life crisis in your life. And that's a great blessings for you. Again, friends, some people say, well, Buddhism encourages self-reliance. But when someone is facing life crisis, self-reliance is not practical. So some people argue in that way. But here, friends, we have misunderstood Buddha's teaching, the self-reliance. Yes, it's true, Buddhism encourages self-reliance. We say, attahi attano nato kohi nato parosya. You should depend on yourself. You should work hard for your own deliverance. Do not depend on the others for your enlightenment. But friends, this statement should not be taken in a loose way. What Buddha means here, Buddhism does not offer salvation only through the faith. There are religions offer salvation only through the faith. The faith alone is enough. You just have to have the faith and you will be saved. And Buddha is not a savior. He is a perfectly enlightened human teacher. And he show you the path and he teach you the techniques you have to follow and you have to practice to be enlightenment. So it is true, when it comes to the enlightenment, Buddhism says that you should be enlightened by yourself. No one else can be enlightened behalf of you. It's very practical, friends. You can take a horse to a river, but you cannot drink the water for the behalf of the horse. He should drink the water. The doctor can give you the medicines, but you should take the medicines if you want to be cured. But the doctor cannot take the medicines behalf of you. In the same manner, the enlightened teacher, Buddha shows you the path, and you should walk along yourself. But does not mean that you are left alone without friends. Noble community of monks, they are there to help you. The Dhamma is there to guide you. Bodhisattvas are there. Devas are there for you to help. And you should not interpret this saying that Buddhism encourages self-reliance, so it is impractical when we face life crisis. It does not mean at all that you cannot ask the help when you need the help. You should not misinterpret it in that way. So there is misinterpretation of the teachings of the Buddha. Well, then how should a Buddhist react when he faces crisis in his life? So what are the crises that you face in your life? Friends, again, no one on the earth is free from problems. Each and every living being has to struggle to live. Don't think that you are the only one who has got all the problems in life. Each and every one. Take a baby who is 1 year old. Don't you think that this baby does not have problem? He has got a lot of problems in his own capacity. All the human beings, as well as all the other animals, they all have problems in different capacity, in different level. And when you face problems, calamities, crisis in your life, and it is the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, these noble triple gems will be a refuge for you, will be a great blessings for you if you understand these noble triple gems and if you follow them. In our life we face many problems, family problems, economic problems, relationship problems, health problems, so on. There's no end. Techniques are different from one problem to another problem to deal with them in effective way. But when it comes to the Buddhism, for a Buddhist, again, there are many techniques, but still, Dhamma comes as number one. He sees the problem from Dhamma point of view, and he is going to react from Dhamma way to deal the problems. Buddha is there for him to get the inspirations, and Sangha is there to get the advice and guidance, and then he can effectively deal with the problems. And let's take few life crises and let's see how we can handle these things as a Buddhist. It will be practical to know. I'm not going to deal with all the life crises that you are facing. That is impossible. But we'll discuss few. Then we will open these sessions for question and answers. Then maybe we can discuss further. Friends, life is very uncertain. We do not know what will happen our next moment. Sometimes people, they are driving on the road, they meet with an accident, and sometimes they lose their life. Some are bedridden. Sometimes you walk in your house, suddenly you fell down, and next day the doctors say that you are having stroke. Sometimes you bound to a wheelchair. People get heart attack, diabetes, cancer, so on. So this is common as well as a life crisis. In a family, when a father or mother or a loved one, when that person falls sick, how are you going to react? Again, friends, there may be curable disease and incurable disease, but still we have to deal with them. When someone falls sick, there are two things that you have to take care. One is the body, the other one is the mind. So to take care of the body of the patients, we need the doctors, we need medicines, we need money. So here in Singapore, there are many ways. We have got life insurance, we have got Medisave, and there are charitable organizations. And regardless of whether you are Buddhist or non-Buddhist, still you have to prepare with this. It doesn't matter whether you have a religion or not. You still have to deal with this. So get prepared for it. This is how you are going to take care of the body. But how are you going to take care of the mind of that person? How are you going to give the moral support to that person who is your loved one, who is sick now in the hospital? How are you going to help this person? Relatives, friends, they all can be helpful to you all. And you have to be positive always. Never make your patients to become negative. When you go to that person, you should go with confidence, with a lot of positive thoughts. If you want to help your loved ones morally, and you have to be strong in mentally. How are you going to help your patients when you are weak in mentally? So do not be emotional in front of your loved one. Be strong and speak with confident words to make your loved one to feel confident in his mind. And your mind should be filled with a lot of love, a lot of compassion towards the patient. So you should speak a lot of positive thoughts, should encourage him to get recover fast. Those patients who have got positive thoughts in their minds, the doctors have found out that they recover faster than the others. Because Buddhism recognizes body and mind are interrelated and interdependent. So your mind affects your body. So you should make your relatives, your friends or loved ones' mind to be positive. In fact, in traditional Buddhist countries, they take the opportunity to invite the monks. These monks go to the hospitals and they talk the Dhamma to the patients. They talk about the life. Then they chant some parittas, tie some blessing strings. In this way, the venerable monks, they strengthen the mind of the patients, their followers. But unfortunately, friends, here in Singapore, many patients do not know the young generation, but all generations, when they see a monk in the hospital, sometimes they may be horrified to see the monks in the hospital, and they say, or maybe an executioner is coming. Because they may think, yes, doctor can discharge me from the hospital, but this monk can discharge me not only from the hospital, but from this world. So some people have the misunderstanding. The monk is going to hospital to do final chanting to let him go. This is a misunderstanding, friends. We should not encourage. There's no something like that in Buddhism. A Buddhist monk never chant for somebody to die. We should understand this. And I do not know how this misconception came into existence in Buddhist mind. It is definitely because of not understanding the Dhamma. Never encourage this. And Buddhist monks are not so cruel to do such kind of things. They are very compassionate, of course, and whenever they go to hospital, I have personal experiences. Sometimes the devotees come and tell, Venerable sir, my father is very sick in the hospital. He is suffering a lot. Can you please go there and do some chanting and let him go? Ask him to go quickly. Of course, this son or daughter is uttering this with a lot of compassion, because he or she doesn't want the other person, father or mother, want to suffer. But again, that is not the way to deal with it. Well, friends, you can ask the monks to go to hospitals and help them. And also you can go to the temples and you can get their help. Ask them to do some blessing service. Ask them to help you to do a puja. And after doing offerings, after doing meritorious deeds, ask the help from the divine beings, from the Devas. Ask the help from Bodhisattvas, because you have right to ask. You are following this path. You are upholding righteous principles in your life. So you can do that, being a Buddhist. So don't think that you are left alone and you do not have a support. Another thing that you can do, friends, as I told you, there may be some incurable disease. Suppose if a doctor says that you are having a cancer, it is in final stage and we cannot cure you. And how are you going to deal with this kind of problem? And now your loved ones, your friend or relative, waiting to die. And who can help? But friends, still Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha can help. You have to have the Dharma understanding. First of all, you have to establish yourself in this path. Then you have the confidence to deal with it. You should understand, yes, everything is changing. Nothing is permanent. And sooner or later, we all have to die. When you realize this truth, you have a lot of strength, a lot of power to deal with this. Then again, what about the patient who knows that he or she is going to die? And that person feels so miserable. Why? The moment that you come to know there is no hope, and only hope is the death, by nature you become very miserable and negative. Having understood this, you all have to be very compassionate, have to have a lot of love towards this person, and you should give some hope for the life. Well, Buddhism teaches the death is not the end. The death is the beginning of another life. Suppose this body now is worn out, cannot be used anymore. This body is going to collapse soon. Then you should focus your mind to be born in a good place. So if you recognize your loved one is facing the death, waiting for the death, and you should make that person to think about the next life. Mother or father or brother or whoever, do not worry. You can be born in a good place. Focus and pay your attention to be born in a good realm. You can be born among human beings as a good human being. Or if you want, you can be born among the divine beings as a divine being. And wherever you want to be born, it is possible. What you need is merits. And you have done a lot of merits in your life. Remind to that person all the good deeds that person did in his life. Do not talk with that person negative things, evil things he did in his life. But remind to him all the good things. Do not take revenge at the last moment. So you have to be compassionate. You have to do not do tit for tat. And you have to be compassionate, have right understanding, and encourage that person. Sometimes, friends, in this kind of critical occasions, again, because of your own merits, angels can appear in your life. You know, they may come and tell to you, by the way, I have got a powerful God. I can reserve a seat for you in the heaven. Well, and they may try to reserve a seat in the heaven, a special seat for your relative, and they will definitely ask him to be converted. Well, friends, again, you have to have the Dhamma understanding here. And you have got the Buddhist kingdoms, Buddhist heavens, and Buddhist gods, and it is like you are living here among the Buddhist friends very happily, who are very compassionate. You also can be born among the Buddhist divine beings, among the Buddhist gods. So you can concentrate on it if you wish to be born in divine realm in that way. Anyway, what is important here, you should focus your mind, your patient's mind to be born in that kind of realm, if that person wishes so. Here you should do more meritorious deeds. So make your relative to do good deeds. And sometimes maybe this patient is bedridden. So that person cannot go to the temple or any other place to do good deeds. What you can do the good deeds behalf of the patients. Let the patient know on such and such day, we are going to do this noble deed for you at 10 o'clock. Please concentrate your mind, and we are going to do this good deed. So explain to this person what you are going to do. So At that moment, although this person cannot be there physically, mentally that person can concentrate on it. Get some pictures or videos and bring and show. By looking at them, she can be happy. If this person can join with the meritorious deeds physically, why not? You should accompany him. In this way, you can make this person who is waiting for the death to do more meritorious deeds and concentrate on next life. And again, sometimes people are bedridden, they cannot move here and there. So you can let a chanting CD to be played, and when that person hears this CD, mind become purified, mind become positive. Or you can leave a Buddhist statue or a Buddha picture in the house, so when this person can turn and look at it and have some confidence, can have some good thoughts, and you should teach. If you feel that you are going to die, something like that, if you feel that you are going to die, at that moment you should focus on something good. So what you can do? You can teach this person to practice a kind of meditation, like loving kind meditation, something very simple. Or you can teach this person to practice a very short type of chanting. Various Buddhist traditions, they have come out with various Buddhist chanting. Some are longer, some are shorter, and you can introduce something like this and encourage this person. If that person is feeling that he is going to die now, concentrate on something good. Then what will happen? This person will not develop greed towards this body, attachment towards this body, because this body is already going to be collapsed. This person will not develop greed or attachment towards the property, wealth, or the people. And this person does not have hatred towards the loved ones, because he is going to have a different life, better life. So this person can be born in a good place. That is how you should deal with this kind of life crisis. Again, what about the death? Sooner or later we all die, and this is something that we have to deal with it again, as something very common again. When someone dies, as a Buddhist, what you should do? Again, of course, I'm not going to talk about the funeral arrangement and all these things, but as a Buddhist, when it comes to religion, when it comes to spiritual way, then how should you react? Different Buddhist schools, they introduce different way of dealing with people who are already dead, especially with the funeral rites and rituals and all these things. And over there, you do not have to argue on these matters. Certain things we practice because they are coming from the traditions and they were introduced by our culture. What is important here, all the brothers and sisters, relatives, friends should come together and come to an agreement. Maybe in the same family there are some people who are following Theravada school, some may be following Mahayana school, some may be following some other way of practices. What is important here, all of you should come together and come to an agreement to practice religious practices without hurting each other, without arguing. Most of the cases, sometimes you all argue and sometimes you break up their relationship. You should not go to that extent. You should have the right understanding as Buddhists. So do Buddhist rites and rituals. Here you have to understand, why do you have to have these kind of practices? What is the importance? When somebody is dead and gone, why do you do Buddhist chanting and those rites and rituals? It has got the sociological effect. A lot of relatives, friends come together and they help you, and you feel like you are not left alone, and it helps to develop the relationship. Psychologically it is helpful, because when you lost a loved one, you feel like you lost something and negativity is there. So when a lot of people come, negativity is transformed into positivity. Then again, religiously it's helpful. You are doing a lot of meritorious deeds in the name of the departed ones. Merits are good for you, merits are good for the others. And there are 4 conditions when you do meritorious deeds. First condition, you have to have pure thoughts in your mind. have pure thoughts, have compassion, have gratitude thoughts towards the departed one, have respect towards the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. Based on this, do a good deed. Second step. Having done the good deed, here good deeds can be a chanting, can be a Dhamma talk, can be some other good deeds, whatever you can practice in that kind of place. It's very popular to practice Buddhist chanting in most of the cases, but does not mean that only chanting can be practiced. You can do some other good deeds also, whatever you can practice in that kind of occasion. Then having done the good deeds, think of the departed ones. Then your mind is very positive at that moment, because with a positive mind you have done something good, and then having done that good deed, think of the departed one and think, wherever you are, may you be well, may you be happy. And that is transference of your own thoughts. You are ready to your own thoughts. Then the fourth stage is the rejoicing of your own merits. That will happen from the departed one side. So this is the very basic way how to deal with Buddhist. When somebody dies, how you should deal with it. And funeral rites and rituals are different from one tradition to another traditions. It's not a big deal for you to argue with each other. With right understanding, you should do it. All the Buddhist schools, they introduce various kind of rites and rituals, and they all have got some meaning. So you should do those things with right understanding. Other than that, there are a lot of crises, as I told you. And sometimes as husbands and wife, you have relationship problems, and something common again. And here again, Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, triple gems. Someone who leads a Buddhist way of life, that person is bound to lead a morally good life, bound to observe 5 precepts. Then in that kind of Buddhist family, relationship problems will not arise if they follow the path correctly. There's no way. Again, in Buddhism, we encourage loving kindness, compassion, understanding, patience, and we teach the people the root of greed, hatred, delusion, and because of these roots, what arise into the world and how we can reduce them, so on. With this Dhamma understanding, you can lead a peaceful, happy, married life. Suppose still you come to know that your husband or your wife is having another affair. As a Buddhist, how are you going to deal with it again? At that kind of occasion also, as a Buddhist, you should have Dhamma. You should look at it from a Dhamma point of view. You should deal it with right understanding. If possible, if you can amend and go ahead again with the family life, that is the best, because Buddhism always encourage forget and forgive. And if you come to know that this relationship is already broken and I cannot amend it and cannot live with it, then again there's nothing for you to react in a foolish way, and there is a legal way. You can take the legal actions and separate without hatred, without enmity, without harboring any evil, unwholesome thoughts towards each other, with respect each other, with respect towards each other's way of looking at it, way of thinking. So the way of dealing with the problems is different from problem to problem, but Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, these 3 are there as a model for you to deal with the problems. So as I told you, we cannot deal with all the life crises today, but if you have got something, we still have time, so we can talk about life crisis and we can look at the particular problems from the Buddhist point of view. So I think this much is enough as a talk, so we have some time for question and answers.
Sorry about that. I think the mic has ran out of batteries. Any one of you have any questions for the Venerable Rathanasara? Don't be shy. Venerable has got a lot of wisdom to share with you.
Seems like nobody has.
If no one, then I will ask you.
Happy news and happy to see. Anyway, okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Venerable, for the interesting talk and enlightening talk. Just now you mentioned about how calling the Bodhisattva and Devas for help, and how do you call upon them?
Well, first of all, you should be someone who is suitable. You should be someone who is suitable to ask the help from them. Means you should be someone who uphold the righteous principles in your life. Who is the person who upholds the righteous principles from the Buddhist point of view? It's the Buddhist who take three refuge, Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. So you are suitable to do it. How should you do it? First of all, you should have to have a positive thoughts, because you are going to communicate from mind to mind. This universe, from the Buddhist point of view, filled with various kind of energies and forces. Human being is nothing but collected, compounded forces and energies. 5 groups of energies come together, we call it a human being. Out of 5 groups of energies, 4 groups are related to your mind. So in final analysis again, human being is collected, compounded forces and energies. All the other living beings are also the same, and the other things in the world also the same. So Buddhism recognizes world, this universe, as energy forms. So here we communicate with mind to mind. So first of all, you should have necessary frequency in your mind. So you have to tune your mind. You have to have pure, wholesome thoughts. So in Buddhist devotional practices, whenever somebody is sick or you need the help of Bodhisattvas and Devas, the practice is you go to a temple and most probably you ask the help of monks, though it is not compulsory. So together with the monks, you do some devotional practices. It can be making offerings to Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. Maybe like simple puja you do in the morning, something like this. So you get together in front of the Buddhist statue and we recite stanzas, we make some offerings. And when you do this, what happens to your mind? Your mind becomes calm, serene, peaceful. Your mind becomes devoid with anger, hatred and ill will. Mind filled with a lot of positive thoughts. So with a positive mind, you are going to make this wish. And you are going to make these aspirations. In my life, I have upheld this righteous way of life. I have upheld these principles. I have practiced a lot of good deeds in my life. And this is the time I need the help of all the Bodhisattvas. So, You have to make an aspirations here. Depend on the situations. You can ask the help. May the Bodhisattvas guide me, help me to overcome these situations. Or you can ask the help from the Devas, because whenever you do a good deeds, meritorious deeds, you always share the merits with them, with the Devas. Do you do that? In Buddhist ceremonies, normally it is encouraged to practice. So at the end of all the religious events, activities, we share the merits with the Devas. And this kind of special occasions, having shared the merits with them, you can ask, may the Devas help me, guide me to overcome these situations. When you make these aspirations, Bodhisattvas who are in human form, in human realm, Bodhisattvas who are in divine form, in divine realm, and those worthy, virtuous ones, they can help you in many ways. But it all depends on your practice. So you can give a try, and if you have not tried, and this is the time for you to give a try and see whether it works or not. But make sure that you uphold the principles in your life. Without based on the righteous way of life, and by practicing when it doesn't work, and you cannot say, oh, it doesn't work. Make sure yourself that you are suitable to do that. Means, you are someone who take 3 refuge. Taking 3 refuge does not mean just uttering Buddhang Saranang, Dhammang Saranang, Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. Doesn't mean that. Honestly, you realize and accept the Buddha as your teacher, and you are trying to be someone like him. Means you are cultivating, trying to be someone like that. Then you become a righteous person. Then you accept the Dhamma and practice the Dhamma to transform your life from dark to light. Then you accept the noble community of monks, and they are the noble friends in your life, so you can ask their help, advice when this kind of crisis occurs. So when you follow this path, you are someone who is suitable to test this. So ask the help. So it's up to you. So you all can give a try if you need. Then there are many people, many individuals who have got personal experiences, and we have a lot of experiences. People who come to this kind of occasions, having achieved the goals, they come back again and they thank us. Bhante, thank you very much for your kind help, and let's do another chanting or puja to pay our respect, or as a way of thanksgiving, or as a way of gratitude for those worthy beings who help us. So there are many friends who come to the temples.
One more question. We have time for one more question.
Good morning. Thanks so much for your time. I think I need to reconfirm about what you said just now. In my experience, in my personal experience, there are many times, after I do the prayer at night, when I was in a, difficulty situation, most of the time, I try to rhyme and then ask, I feel like, I'm being like a Christian or other religion, because God, dear Jesus, those kind of, a wish that I made during my prayer. But it did really help me a lot, in the sense that, at the end of the session, I feel that I got a kind of a peace, calmity for me to think about, what sort of a situation I'm facing now. Okay, but I think that's just wanted to confirm that part. I think it works, even though, sometimes and I never shared about this before, because I'm afraid that this is not the Buddhist way, of dealing with the difficulty. Now, back to the self-reliance. I'm thinking that, sometimes for the strong, for the Buddhists who has a strong fundamentals understanding about the Buddhism, I think self-reliance is really something utmost important in their life. But but in nowadays things change a lot. Everything comes instantly. For those beginning in the Buddhism understanding, I'm afraid they will fail, in getting help from the self-reliance. And you see on other religion, they even provide the toll-free line, for them 24 hours. Even in Singapore government, for the gambling addicted, you have the toll-free line for you to, So it really needs help, kind of instant. So I think, do you think it will be better if, Buddhism, can provide a kind of, free toll line, to those who really need help? Frankly speaking, in certain religion, they can really give you an instant answer to your needs, both spiritually and materially. They can really come approach you to really help you to all the needs. Until then, I think for the beginning of Buddhists, they will try. Oh, seems like this is better than the Buddhism itself. They start to compare that. What do you think about that? Thanks so much.
As I told you earlier, this self-reliance is misinterpreted and misunderstood by the people. As I told you earlier also, self-reliance does not mean that you cannot ask the help. It does not mean that you cannot ask the guidance. In that way, friends, even enlightenment is impossible. Why? Then you should not depend on the Dhamma then. You should not depend on the Buddha then. You should not depend on the Sangha then. Why? You are self-reliance. So it does not mean in that way. Self-reliance what we teach in Buddhism is, there are religions who offer salvation by faith. Is it clear? Means, you just have to have the faith, you no need to practice. You may be a wicked person, it doesn't matter. If you have faith, you can be saved. You may be a good person, wholesome person, doesn't matter. If you do not have faith, you will not be saved. This is what some other religions teach. So Buddhism does not accept this way of salvation, this way of enlightenment. So Buddhism encourages self-reliance to self-realization. Because this truth that Buddha is talking about should be understood by the individuals. I cannot realize the truth behalf of you. Truth is something that you have to verify and understood by yourself. This is what means by self-reliance. Does not mean that you cannot get the help of the other people. So Buddha is helping you. How does he help? Why do we pay respect to the Buddha and tribute? Because he helped us a lot. So we are grateful to him for his service. So even today, after thousands of years back, still we are paying respect, our tribute to him, because he has helped us a lot. So Dhamma is helping us, Sangha is helping us. So it does not mean that self-reliance, that it is not that you cannot ask the help. Triple gems are there to help you. Again, you should not think that you go to the temples and do pujas and some devotional practices and ask the help from the devas and ask the help from bodhisattvas, and you should not think that this is not a Buddhist practice. This is a Buddhist practice. This is a Buddhist practice. It's totally Buddhist practice. Buddhist monks encourage this. And we are the ones, again, introduce the people. When the people are in this kind of crisis, we purposely ask them, you please practice something like this. And we encourage them to do this. So if it is not Buddhist, we will not do that. So this is a Buddhist practice. You do not have to hesitate to do that. But the problem here, the difference here, we do not use the term pray. The reason is we do not want to misinterpret our way of teachings. Because when we introduce the word pray, even to this kind of simple devotional practices, it go to the extent that we pray to the Buddha or we pray to the gods. In that way, it can be interpreted, which is totally different from the Buddhist way of practices. That's why we do not use the term prayers in this kind of devotional practices. But over there also, what you do and ask the help from the devas and bodhisattvas are something similar to prayers. But we do not use the word, because when we use the term prayers, it comes with the other concept that we at the same time accept the creator concept, which is not Buddhist. We do not accept there is a particular God who created this universe, these living beings, who is sitting in judgment to give the punishment and reward, who is capable of giving the salvation, and who is capable to put you into the hell or heaven. So prayer is related to this concept. So we do not want it because it is not Buddhism. That's why we do not use it. But the technique that you are using over there, having done a good deed and asking the help from the bodhisattvas and devas, and this technique is quite similar to that. But never use the term prayers, because it leads to misunderstanding and misinterpretation. And again, you are talking about hotline, 24 hours hotline. Well, in this case, friends, why not? We have got a lot of Buddhist counseling services. In Singapore, one of very famous societies, Sanyo. I do not know whether I pronounce it correctly. There's another company also called Sanyo TV or something like, but not that one. I think it's Sanyo, I think. Anyway, you can check it on the net. And they provide a lot of Buddhist counselings. And in fact, all the temples are supposed to be counseling centers. Don't you know that? Buddhist monks are counselors, teachers. Approach Buddhist monks when you have problems. And that is what we are supposed to do. And Singalovada Sutta, Buddha has given us this. This is one of our duty. That is the duty of the monks. Read the Singalovada Sutta. There are duties that should performed by the monks towards the devotees and from devotees towards the monks. Among the duties that monks should perform, and this is one of them, we should show you the righteous path, we should refrain you doing evil, and we should give you the right advice. This is one of our duties. So you should not think that you do not have this service. You are already having it. But what has happened is, in Asia, it has become already very, very traditional, and you are born there and you do not know that, and it's, I do not know. Anyway, you are born with this right, and you are born with these temples and monks, and all of them are there for this. And there are a lot of people I do not know approach to us in our temples also, and we provide them counseling services, and you too can do that. Well, I think maybe it is time now to set up something like telephone services, internet services, and all this. And still there are some web pages also. Maybe when we compare in modern society, maybe we are not doing enough. So it's time for the Buddhist monks, nuns, leaders to come together and think of way. And it is true, Buddhists are not well organized. That we have to accept. And it's true that we have not organized. Does not mean that we cannot organize. So that's for what we have to work. There are many temples, organizations rich with a lot of money, and they should come together, combine together, and form a way to help out. And there should be a way, again, Buddhist, like Sanyo and all the many other Buddhist organizations. So you should not think we do not have it, and we have not implemented it correctly. On the other hand, we also have to understand the differences of the non-Buddhist organizations and Buddhist organizations. Again, non-Buddhist organization, when I say non-Buddhist organizations, related to some religions. I do not want to label those religions. Anyway, they have got a different system. Some religions, every month, you have to pay some amount of money to that religion. Am I right? Yes. So, by your salary, it is deducted there. I do not know whether it is deducted or you have to give. But in Buddhist temples, they depend on the donations. But they, maybe some organization, they encourage some membership fee. But anyway, all these are voluntary. So the other organizations, they take some amount of money from your salary and they reuse this money again for the well-being and happiness of the society, which is a good system, I personally think. Well, that is up to the Buddhists to organize and think of ways and means to help your own fellow brothers and sisters without of compassion and goodwill. So, but when it comes to the counseling like that, and I have to tell you very clearly, all the Buddhist monks are supposed to be counselors, and Buddhist temples are counseling centers, and Sangha is one of the noble triple gems, and you recite Sanghang Saranang Gacchami, and when you are facing life crisis, Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, and these three triple gems, noble triple gems are the refuge for you. So you should approach the monks and you should ask their advice. But how many of you approach? How many of you, when you have family problem, when you have relationship problem, how many of you go and talk to the monks? So you should not say that only monks and nuns are wrong. You also are responsible. Anyway, you should approach them in right time. You should ask them, and that is one of their duty. Okay, I think this much.
Thank you, Venerable. Thank you. Those of you who are not aware, Buddhist Fellowship does have a counseling service, and it is supervised by a